Welcome everybody to this latest edition of our Funko Pop Stories. This is actually the 4th edition. As usual, I am going to kick things off with a story of my own. You see this picture here of some Guardians of the Galaxy figures, and pictured there at the center is Angry Groot. Now at the time when I was collecting, when I did come across this figure, I really was not expecting to see it, because I knew it was previously a convention exclusive. I'm not even sure which convention it was, but I know it had this kind of a generic exclusive sticker on it at the time. I don't think I've seen that sticker anywhere else. But yeah, so I went to the Oak City Comic-Con, which was in North Carolina. This was my first time going to a convention. I really did make sure I made the rounds and checked out all of the vendors before I decided to make any purchases. And honestly, I wasn't seeing anything that really blew me away. I felt like some of the prices were definitely marked up, which that tends to be something that you see at conventions. It's not too surprising because, I mean, they do have to cover, the vendors have to cover the cost of the booth and try to make their money back. So yeah, it is a common thing to see those prices marked up. But yeah, I was really disappointed by the variety. I kind of had a feeling I might end up spending more for some pops, possibly. But I did end up going back to one vendor that seemed to have more pops than the others, at least. And I took my time and I really went through the boxes, and I was very surprised to come across that Angry Groot figure, which I still think is probably the best looking Groot figure, especially because of the mouth sculpt. It's very expressive. It looks good. It's a really good figure. So yeah, I was able to get this particular figure and 2 others from that vendor, and basically had a deal cut on them. And I gotta give this piece of advice: when you go to a convention, make sure you do what I did. Really check out all of the vendors, and it would be very helpful also to have your phone on hand to kind of check Pop Price Guide and check eBay and kind of compare prices and see if vendors are being completely unreasonable or not. But most of the time when you speak to vendors, I mean, don't try to force a number on them. But sometimes you might just ask them, what's this cost? What's the best you could do? And sometimes if you just ask how much this costs, like, they'll let you know right away that they'll cut you a deal. So basically you kind of talk to them, you be nice to them, they'll definitely look out for you sometimes and bring those prices down. That's a big piece of advice that I'm going to give you all. So yeah, I'm definitely glad to have Angry Groot as part of my Guardians of the Galaxy collection. But yeah, that's my story. I just wanted to share a quick one, and let's go ahead and get into the stories that have been shared from other viewers and other collectors. So this story here comes from Jake the Dog 151, and it says, "This just happened recently to me, but long story short, I'm leaving my hometown in Alabama to be closer to the rest of my family in South Carolina. I had been working towards buying my ultimate grail, the 501st Clone Trooper, before I was to leave. I was telling all my friends about it obsessively. One day, my boss/friend gave me a flat rate box to open, which wasn't uncommon. I opened the box, and the 501st Trooper was looking me dead in the eye. He told me it was a going away/birthday present paid for by all my friends and family. I cried tears of joy that they were generous enough to do something this huge for me. Forever grateful to have them in my life." So yeah, that's a pretty awesome going away present. And for people to actually get together to buy a pop that I know is definitely valuable, that's definitely a very kind thing. And Jake, I hope everything is going well with your move. Everything went well with your move and all of that. And I'm a South Carolinian as well, and I think the pop hunting's pretty good at Myrtle Beach. If you've never pop hunted at Myrtle Beach, definitely make sure you find the time to check it out. So moving on to the next story here, this comes from Caitlin Ellis, and it says, "I went to my local Hot Topic," and she says here in parentheses, "I know it's not an exclusive, but it seems that Hot Topic gets these things sooner than anywhere else." And by the way, she's true. I mean, she's accurate about that. Seems like Box Lunch and Hot Topic tend to get things first. Okay, but moving on here, it says she went to get the Hercules and Pegasus Rise Pop when I heard they got a few in shipment. Unfortunately, I got there later than I wanted to, and they sold out. So a couple days later, I drove an extra 2 hours to get to the next closest Hot Topic to see if they still had one. I'd seen it in the display they had in the window, so I looked over all the... I didn't see it in the display they had in the window, so I looked all over the rest of the store to find it, but I didn't. I pretty much gave up finding it at that point. On a whim, though, I decided to check out the window display again, but from the inside of the store. I squeezed into the space between the shelf and window, and I saw it plain as day. It was behind a large poster on the window, which is why I didn't see it at first. I'm wondering if an employee put it there thinking that people wouldn't walk around the shelf to look for it, or if it was just put there without thought. Either way, it's now a proud part of my collection. Now if I can only find that Hades chase. Okay, so one thing I just want to say about this story, I know some things sometimes are put in odd places in stores. Sometimes it may be the employees just not really thinking about where they put things down, but then sometimes it is customers trying to hide things until they can come back with the money. I know a lot of that is going on at Toys R Us right now. You know, people hiding things and waiting for the sales to get better. So be thorough with searching. That's really the lesson to take away from this story. Next up here, we have a story from Rusty McPeters, and it says, I want to tell the story of how I got my first Stranger Things pop. So I was at my local GameStop when I first saw this pop. I hadn't seen any of Stranger Things yet, so I didn't know anything about the character or the reference to the Upside Down. I still thought it was cool looking, but I passed on it. About a week later, I was sitting at home scrolling through Netflix looking for something to watch and came across, you guessed it, Stranger Things. I decided to give it a watch. Needless to say, I got hooked on it and binge watched it in 2 days. I decided to go back and pick up the pop, but of course it wasn't there. The guy working there said it was available online, so I ordered it. It took about 2 weeks to show up at my post office. I got it home, opened it up all excited, and it was a Naruto pop. Okay, and then he laughs here. So says, I thought I missed out on getting it, but I called up the store and told them about what happened. Through a massive stroke of luck, they had just gotten one in stock, so I rushed down and he swapped them out, no problem. I have 9 Stranger Things pops in my collection now, and it all started with this one. For other hunters out there, always keep a positive attitude and never give up too quickly. It may take a while, but eventually you'll find what you're looking for. So, yeah, I definitely like that Rusty put in that positive note here at the end. I do see a lot of collectors that give up way too quickly. I said this previously, you know, when I do Funko News, I have some people saying in the comments, even when something hasn't released yet, they're already saying, I'm pretty sure I won't find this. And they're already giving up. And it's like, if you're going to be a collector, you really do have to go after things. And you may not always find things immediately, but you know, you give it some time and you might have come across something that will surprise you. So yeah, always be patient. That's my big thing. Be patient and don't give up so easily on the things that you want to get. Okay, moving on here, we have a story from Queen Bee Customs, and I've given shout outs to Queen Bee Customs before. I've given away one of their custom figures as well. Definitely make sure that you check out Queen Bee Customs on Instagram. You know, and then like I said, they do some amazing custom work, so definitely make sure you check them out. But let me go ahead and get to their story. The 6-inch Megazord is a significant piece to our collection because as kids of the 90s, we grew up watching Power Rangers every afternoon. SDCC 2017 was also our first time going out to stores to hunt for con exclusives. On top of that, we were also out of town. We learned the night before that Megazord was being stocked at ThinkGeek stores. Luckily, there was one not too far from our hotel. We got up extra early to wait in line before the store opened, and to our surprise, we were third in line. Unfortunately, a mall security guard, not aware of the event, kicked us all out of line. When the time came to line back up, 10 people were now ahead of us. We thought for sure we'd come up empty-handed, but to our surprise, the store had just enough for us to get one. So, I'm pretty sure that was frustrating, being kicked out of line. And I mean, a lot of times people don't really understand what's going on with Funko. It's amazing, you know, even though these conventions tend to be pretty big events, you know, for collectors, still, there are a lot of people that are not in the know about what's going on with them. So, you know, regardless of, you know, being kicked out of line, I'm really glad that you were able to get the figure that you wanted. And that particular Megazord was actually a diamond, I believe a Diamond Collectibles exclusive, or a diamond exclusive, whatever you want to call it. But they're a distributor, so they actually ended up at a couple of different stores. I think some GameStops had it. It really just depended on what stores put it on order. But yeah, I'm really glad that you were able to find that one. And I know a lot of people just put their order in for the metallic one. And, you know, fingers crossed for everybody that, you know, is going after that figure. I hope you are able to find it. So our last story for this edition comes from Randyland, and she wrote part of this almost like a script, you know, so I'll do my best with this the way that she wrote it. I may have to kind of play the roles here a bit. Okay, so it starts off here. It says, this story is important to me because I lost my dad 1 year ago on the 29th of March. Every memory I have of my dad is a treasured one. Okay, and it says here, when I saw the Punisher chase holding the Daredevil mask, I knew I had to have him. I love the look of him, even though the mask is way too small, and I agree with that about that chase. And the Netflix series is one I really enjoyed. So I caught a sale on them at Hot Topic and I ordered a case of 6. And doing this, I was immediately sent into stress mode of whether or not I would actually even receive a chase figure. Did I waste all that money for nothing? I was really annoyed almost as soon as I placed the order. I knew I wasn't going to get a chase and I had screwed up. About a week after I placed my order, I was out shopping with my sister and got a call from my dad. And so there's no confusion. This is actually Randy answering her dad's call. "Hey girl," and she says that's an inside joke. Her dad responded, "Honey, what is the matter with you?" What did I do now? Why did you order a bunch of the exact same big-headed little ugly toys? Okay, and she says, "Oh great, my Hot Topic package came today." Wait, did you open my package? No, Mom opened it, but I want to know why you spent money on a bunch of the same toys. Crap, one of them isn't different? They all look the same to me. I don't see no difference in them. They all got the same number and the same thing. I didn't take them out of the box. Okay, and the story continues here. Well, since you already opened my package, can you please take them out and tell me if one looks slightly different than the rest? If they are all the same, you're right. I did waste my money. Well, they all look the same to me. No, wait, this one has something red extra on it. Yes, that's good. That one is the reason I ordered them all. You ordered a whole box of these ugly things just to get one that's holding a strawberry? I don't know what is wrong with you youngins these days. Okay, so and she says, this is not the most exciting story, but this is one I thought of first. My dad was my favorite person, and thinking of him and this memory made me smile. So yeah, I'm glad that memory and that connection to, you know, collecting was able to give you that smile, Randy. And I definitely you know, want to give my condolences again for your loss. I know how much that impacted you and how much, you know, it impacts anybody to lose a parent. But that was a very sweet memory. And you know, that chase figure is one that I used to have in my collection, but it did kind of bother me, things not being to scale necessarily. And then also the Punisher Netflix series. I guess it's a decent start for the series. I hope the second season is a lot more interesting though. So because of my lack of interest, I ended up not really keeping the figure. Like I said, I hope the Netflix series season 2 will interest me a lot more. I know some people enjoyed the first season, but for me, it just didn't quite do it though. But again, thank you so much, Randy, and thanks to everybody, you know, that decided to share a story for this edition of our Funko Pop Stories. So if you are interested in participating in our Funko Pop Stories, you see the email here where you can send your story to. And also, please make sure you send a picture related to the story as well. You know, preferably, of course, showing off the pop figure that you are referring to. And as far as what type of story you tell, it's really up to you. It could be a story about how you got the pop, an interesting way that you got the pop, not that you just ran to the store and grabbed it real quick. You know, make sure it is kind of an interesting story. It also could relate to the first pop you ever bought, or just overall how you got into pop collecting. It's really up to you. You know, if you feel like it's an interesting story worth sharing, please make sure you send it to this email address. I do want to point out, I hate to have to say this, but I got to remind everybody that this particular email address is about, I really set this up for people to share things that I'm requesting to be shared on my channel. This is not about trade requests or anything else. You know, this is set up just as a community type thing for you all to provide things that I can share on the channel. So that's the main focus of it. Also, something else I want to do with this email address is, and this is something I want to do in general on my channel. I basically want to make this a series because I know a lot of people have ideas about pops that they would like to see. And I also know that a lot of you are artists. So if you have some Funko Pop concept art that you would like to be shared on my channel, again, you can email it to me. And this could be like a scanned image, or maybe some of you actually do create art on a computer, and it's very easy for you then to send the files. You know, that's really up to you, and it could be a picture of a picture as long as it's high quality, of course. Or you can actually ship the artwork directly to my P.O. box, which that address is down in the description. So it's really up to you. Just do understand though, if you actually ship some physical art, if you ship you know, a piece of art to me to the P.O. box, it will not be returned. You know, I'm not going to get into sending people's work back and forth. That's just a headache basically. So please keep in mind, if you're going to send something, just understand that it is for me to hang on to and to keep. But yeah, I'm kind of excited about this idea, and I know some people have shared some concept art with me previously. So yeah, I'm really opening this up, and this could be a whole new series going on. And it's really all about participation. This new idea that I have, and then also our Funko Pop Stories, these are very much reliant on participation. So if you want to see these series stay strong, please, get involved. That's all it really takes. But yeah, that's going to do it for this edition of our Funko Pop Stories. I hope you all enjoyed it. Again, thank you to everybody that shared the story, and I will talk to you all again real soon.